What's up, everyone? Yeah, it's not my traditional real review. Normally, I pre-record them. For this, I didn't because this movie was fun. As much as my father wants to say it was cheese and shit, it was still fun. And we will always differ on that opinion. But once again, I'm Matt. Thank you for coming and watching this real review, whether you're watching it live or in the post, whatever you want to call it, or post live, whatever. I'm just glad to be here. Glad to have on my two guests to talk about this. One who's not as familiar with the Mortal Kombat franchise, and one who has at least seen the other two films. One being the travesty, and one being the cult. Oh, Jeff hasn't seen the cult cheese. All right, so this will be interesting. So first up, I'm bringing on the Boston badass herself, Miss Paige Frabetti. How you doing today, Paige?
Oh, swell. Thank you so much, man, for having me on.
With your new camera and your new mic, and you're feeling
so fancy now.
Yeah.
Gotta look good for the Schmodown and you guys, you know?
Yeah. And joining us from Schmo Me the Money is the one and the only quiz show.
I've seen the 95 one.
Yes.
I just haven't seen Annihilation.
Okay.
That's all. And I'm putting off Annihilation until What the Show and we're organizing a watch along, which is just a watch along on What the Show.
Jeff, it's so bad I couldn't finish it. I tried to watch it.
To finish it. Remember, you're talking to a guy who legitimately loves cats,
and legitimately loves Money Plane.
Yeah, well, all right. Let's also let me clarify. I legitimately love it. But that love is like ironic to a point that it almost hurts. But you know, I bought Cats. I will buy Money Plane one day. But I just see it only on DVD. I've only seen it on DVD. I haven't seen the Blu-ray around.
They're not going to release that on Blu-ray.
Then I might
Amazon,
not know, I can't bring myself to buy.
You can watch it on Hulu.
I know. That's why I haven't bought it. So, anyways, yeah.
But no, we're here to talk
also about working still.
Good job, Jeff. Good job. That's a great employee there for you.
It's Friday at 5, and I got a contract that was due today. I need a signature on.
So you're just waiting on the contract then?
No, I got the contract. Now I got to shoot it off to someone else who also has to sign it.
Oh, that's always fun. Mm-hmm. Oh no. So I want to start off. What were your general thoughts? And we're going to start with Paige on this film.
Thank you.
For me, I'll keep it quick at first, and then we'll definitely go into details of what I kind of thought about it. I don't know if anyone's seen my review yet or not that I posted, but I mean, it's definitely bloody, gory as hell. And I mean, the action and the fight scenes I thought were awesome. I definitely probably have a lot more issues with it than other people do. But overall, I thought it was a good time. It's fun. I think it will satisfy a lot of people.
Okay. Quiz, how about yourself?
All right. So I had a lot of fun with it. Same as a lot of people. A lot of caveats to it. It felt like I was totally fine actually with the film kind of being a bait and switch.
Yeah.
In that it's not a Mortal Kombat film, it's a lead up to Mortal Kombat film.
That's the issue I had with the movie, I think.
But then there's an issue near the end that makes me question if it was a lead up to Mortal Kombat. Which we'll get into, I guess, at some point. Is this spoilers or non-spoiler?
Yeah, we can go ahead and talk to spoilers in a little bit.
Okay, yeah, I'll get into it in a minute. But overall, I had fun with it. I do want to see where it goes from there. I am fine with paper-thin characters if I enjoy the film enough, and I enjoyed it just enough that I'm fine with some characters being sort of like, okay, I'm not so fine on the way some other characters are portrayed. But yeah, I mean, overall, like, you know, I'm more positive than negative, but like, you know,
we'll
forget it tomorrow.
So I think I'm right around with you guys. I enjoyed it for what it was. When I saw it the other night, I told people, okay, this is without a doubt the best Mortal Kombat movie we have ever seen. That is inarguable. And anybody, even as much as William the Beast Bibiani wants to say that this is worse than the original Mortal Kombat, I will tell him he's wrong.
I think that because there's like yes and no to that sort of push. Because on the one hand, The 95 Mortal Kombat film knew exactly what it was, and it pulled off that dumb bullshit with the kind of 90s action cheese that you're like, yeah, I'm down for this. None of it's that great, but I have a good time with it. And that's why I like that film. I just rewatched it last night into this morning. But it's definitely it definitely has issues, mostly because I think, Paul W.S. Anderson is a bad filmmaker who makes bad films. Just 2 months ago, I watched all 6 Resident Evil films.
Yeah, I enjoy the first one. The first one's all right.
The first one's actually terrible. It's really bad. It's really bad. And I'm telling you, I've said this before, but I don't say it as a joke. I mean this sincerely. When I went to watch the 5th movie in the franchise, Retribution, I turned on the movie, and it took me 45 minutes to realize I was watching Resident Evil, the final chapter. I was watching the wrong movie.
There's a story in 95? I couldn't find it.
The story 95 was actually exactly what you'd expect. Was you got the guys, they're all going, and now they're going to fight.
Yeah.
And one of them has a revenge plot, something or other. And it serviced what the movie was. I watched it today. It's 91 minutes long, not including credits.
Yeah.
When I finished it earlier, it ended at like the 1 hour 31 minute mark before the 10 minutes of trailers or commercials or credits. It's a long day. But today, watching this other one, this new one, I prefer the story here, as sort of janky as it was, which there was still some muddled bits about it.
Yeah, there was definitely still some muddled bits.
Yeah, it was. There's this whole thing of Arcana and birthmarks. I actually didn't mind the Arcana thing. This idea of it's a video game movie, so one big thing is you got to work to level up to get your move. Like, I'm fine with that. I found it to be silly enough that it worked. I mean, some people they get flames, they get fireballs. Some people they get a frisbee hat. Which I
liked the Arcana and both birthmarks. I'm sorry, Jesse. It worked for me.
I enjoyed it, but I didn't like the main character that we follow, Cole Young.
Oh, he was wooden as all hell.
Yeah, well, I mean, I'm sorry, but
Louis Tan,
he's the main.
I didn't like the character. I liked him in the film. I didn't like what they did with him in the film. If we can separate the two. He worked well with what he was given. What he was given wasn't much. His suit was the fucking Black Panther suit. It absorbed energy and just shot it back out.
Yeah, I wasn't. I mean, the main guy that we follow, he's honestly just like a plot device to introduce us to the new world and the new audience, because he isn't an original character from Mortal Kombat. And I mean, I don't know. For me, I was expecting, not that I wanted like in-depth character growth within the movie, but I mean, he's the main character and his acting, oh my gosh, and this like the writing within the movie itself.
Wow, sorry, my buddy Carl just blowing up my Facebook. Jesse, it didn't bug me. I like it better. I liked it better because, let's be honest, it's not like the freaking original film went into depth about who Kano was. It didn't. Kano in the original film is garbage.
Honestly, Kano was one of my favorite characters in this movie.
Yes.
I thought his comedic elements were on point, and I think that was like one of the funnest characters that was within the film itself.
Agreed.
And I gotta say, that opening scene was amazing. I just wanted more of that, I feel like. I really, really enjoyed that. I thought it set the tone, and then we just jump into Cole, and I'm just like, all right, kind of a snooze bag because he doesn't know what's going on. You have this cool-ass birthmark and you don't know anything about it.
Jesse,
like, yeah, I just have a dragon on me and I don't know what it is.
Cybernetic. It was a little plate on his face. That's different. Not the same.
Don't be that guy right now, Jesse. Come on. It's called evolving a property. That's what this was. This was a way to evolve the property and make it interesting. Try to make it more interesting.
I was about to say, to make it interesting. I don't think it was that interesting. But
it was more interesting than the 95 film.
Yes,
That's what I'm. That's my microscope. Because I was telling Paige, because Paige hadn't seen this. Paige hadn't seen is the one here who hasn't seen any of the Mortal Kombat films. And when we got when I got the links for I'm like, here, sign up here, and you can get a link to see it tomorrow early. I'm like, make sure you watch the original first. So she gave it, she like she's talking about, she gave it a C on her review, and I'm like, okay, I get it, because honestly, I'm only like at a C plus B minus myself.
Yeah, I'm gonna be.
I'm like, but you're just comparing it as a single film, where like you and I, or Chris Quisho and I, are sitting here like, oh, we've seen the first one. This is a vast improvement over that.
Well, here's the thing. It isn't an improvement, because I think that the two films are going for completely different vibes too. It's fun because like they're not doing the same sort of thing, other than they have fight scenes. I actually thought the Bihan stuff was pretty dope. I think that I wish that there was more Hanzo though. I think that was kind of like, okay, cool. It had a bookend. I wish there was more of him. I think that Joe Taslim is fucking badass, and I need to check out a couple of his other movies.
He signed on for like
four more movies, and I'm like, all right, cool.
Yeah.
I guess he's coming from the Netherworld or something.
That's got to be it.
That's got to be it.
But Jesse, I'm not besmirching the ~95 film. I actually enjoy the '95.
I watched it today. I in my letterbox, which is very professional, because everything I do is professional. I gave it a 3 out of 5, which is positive. Unless you're this one guy on Twitter that tried to argue with me that a 3 out of 5 is a D, and I'm like, are you fucking high?
Because here's the thing, because some people automatically do it as 3 out of 5, 2 times 5 is 10, 2 times 3 is 6 is a D. I'm like, no. I'm like, there's two. When you're rating it out of 10, you're grading it a different way.
Yeah, it's well, even when you're grading it that way, it's different because reviews aren't the same as like a paper grade. Like a school assignment. It's not the same thing.
Right.
And this movie is like a straight up B- for me.
Yeah.
It's a B-, almost a C, but I have enough fun with stuff in it. And I'm interested enough in seeing where they go if they're able to make a new one. My
father, ladies and gentlemen.
Hey, you know what?
Honestly, that's what I'm looking forward to, is what comes next after this.
Yes.
Because obviously, I mean, spoiler alert, you get this. Can I say this or no?
Go ahead.
At the end, you see that Cole is going to be going to look for Johnny Cage. So, I mean, that's pretty cool, I think, like in a sense, because I'm excited to see that character. But I also just want to see I went into this movie wanting to see the tournament, and that's not what
the biggest thing.
Yeah.
Here's the thing, though. This is the issue that I have, though. The whole time I'm fine with it building up to actually having the tournament, taking a whole film, because there are so many characters, where if they just threw it together and had it be, here's a tournament, then we could get something similar to the first film. And maybe they didn't want to be the '95 film, and I'm glad they're not the '95 film, that they went for something different. But I think that one of the big issues is they spent the whole time, like, I love the idea that Shang Tsung was like, we're going to play dirty and we're going to try and kill them off before they can even get to the tournament. But then the way it ended with that final conversation before Raiden made him leave made it sound like the tournament is just sort of like the series of fights they have in general. As if like they were already fighting through it. They just didn't really establish that.
That's why I wanted more world building, because I wanted more of the intensity of, all right, this right here is literally, if the Outworld wins, Earth is like over. Like they take over. Like, and that's why I just wanted more intensity from the whole thing itself. And that's why I don't know. I think you could have done it like Gauntlet of Fire, kind of like Harry Potter, like introduce the tournament, get people in there, and then like it kind of just be the beginning of it, and that's how it ends.
Yeah, like that. That's definitely a way to do it. I mean, the other way is, I mean, seriously, they could have. It's funny because the way that they built the '95 Mortal Kombat, it's just a supernatural blood sport.
Yep.
That's what they did, and it worked. And I don't think that the thing is that Warner Brothers does nowadays is they need to make sure that they build the lore up front. And I think that that's one of the problems with this film, as well as a lot of Warner Brothers properties now.
They don't build the lore up front.
Yeah, whether it's Justice League or whether it's Godzilla versus Kong and that series and all this other stuff, they're building up, describing, and explaining and exploring the backstories, as opposed to introducing and then building out the backstories afterwards. So I actually agree with the idea of what if they just had the tournament be over the course of like 2 films or 3 films or whatever, and they're able to build out people's stories over that. I mean, fuck, how many tournaments were in Dragon Ball Z and we were finding that it took them 87 years to get through?
Maybe like 3 or maybe like 3 or 4 total over the 9 seasons or so. But no, here's my thing. There's a line in there that Cole says, and he's like, they want to avoid a tournament. Well, let's give them a tournament. Let's take the tournament to them, like, because the mission of the people from Outworld is the fact they're trying to kill Earth's champion so they can easily win the tournament, and that's why we're now on this mission going into any future one. The next one, I think realistically, you're looking at a 3-movie arc where this story was establishing characters. The next one is finishing building out the Earth champions. And then the third one is the tournament. That's what it feels like to me. That's what it seems like.
Did they really establish, like, I mean, they gave us a bunch of characters, but I feel like they don't go in depth with like establishing them, though.
So what I mean by establishing them is establishing the major players, which we know are going to be Cole, Sonya Blade, and Jax. Those are and Liu Kang. Those are your 4 major players. 3 of them are major players throughout the video game series. Like, there are 3 major characters throughout the video game series. Cole being the only one who's made up. Which by the way, I still hate that they gave away, like, his story twist was like so readable with even just by watching that. It's another
instance of a big budget film that has they literally say, like, you don't have the chosen blood for Sonya Blade, which I have problems with Sonya's character in this film. But for him, like, Louis Tan, like I said, I'm fine with a lot of the stuff that happened there. Like, I'm more of like, sure, whatever. I don't hate it. I wish it was a little different, but all right, as it is, what we got, fine.
I'm fine with
but
it. I just wish it wasn't so telegraphed. That was my only issue.
I wish that they didn't do this thing that so many things do, where there's this conversation and it come through in conversations that we've had with other people and stuff, like the important themes analyzed in Falcon and Winter Soldier right now and other stuff like that. This idea of show not tell, where there's this idea where, and it's this weird thing that's come from like film schools and other stuff, where you have to show something in order to work, that you can do, like, tell something from a visual media standpoint, as opposed to just write it out like it's a book or something. But sometimes telling is actually more important. You can actually explain it in a way that hits harder than just showing. Something in Falcon Winter Soldier with the big story and the big themes that have been addressed, especially in the last 2 episodes, in episodes 5 and 6, there are big things that wouldn't have had the same sort of impact if they were shown. They needed to be told, but they needed to be told in the right way from the right people. Yeah. Lord Raiden just saying your Scorpion's great grandkid or whatever.
Freaking horrible.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So at first I thought he was the baby that was found, and I was like, "Oh, Close is mad old, and does he not know he's old?" Then I was like, "Oh, okay, that was a kid, it was a girl."
Before.
So yeah, so like, okay,
that's kind of what I wanted.
Maybe this is a case where it's okay. Yeah. Show, don't tell, because you told, and you told it badly.
Like, I feel like it would have been interesting to see a little bit of Cole leading up to that first scene of Cole throughout the years. Especially if that's what I mean by I wanted, like, not more character like build, but at least for him more character build, because he's a new character. We don't know anything about him because he's a former MMA fighter.
Yeah, and the others are already pre-existing characters within the franchise of the game. So why not give us more because we're following him throughout the story. That's why I was just like, oh man, like that's why I just like the stuff that he got, man. I don't know, the stuff they gave him, he just could not work with it, and
I think
I'm wondering what you thought of Sonya though, because I liked what she was given. I enjoyed, but I feel like they put the weight, on her shoulders of explaining what the tournament was. I feel like
here, Jeff, I think this is for you. Raiden was underwhelming, but I guess that's consistent with the games where he's a godly,
a godly fuck up. Why can't you just say fuck?
I wasn't going to be the one to say. I'm just
fuck. The word is fuck. You're an adult. So my issues with Sonya don't have to do necessarily with this is coming from a guy here. My issues with Sonya were they have the one major female character be the one who's teased how she's not included in the boys club.
Yep.
And the only way that she can be included is to replace a boy. And it's like, she's basically pining to be a part of the boys club the whole time. And then she gets to be a part of it because the guy who mocks her, she beats. Like it's funny. Cause I listened to a review earlier from a YouTube guy, Movie Bob. He has some good takes, he has some bad takes on things, but I like listening to him because he really goes in depth on his opinions. And when people are able to explain how they feel, whether I agree with them or not, I appreciate that more. And it would have been great. He pointed out like a great idea of stuff that they could have done. They could have had her. She really wanted to be a part of it. Like, what I don't get is why she wanted to be a part of it. She was desperate not to like just discover it. She wanted to be in the tournament somehow, and you never find out.
Yeah,
it's just she really wants it, and it just comes off as she just wants to play with the boys. And they keep mocking, and like especially Kano, who it's obvious he's sexist, but it's like they basically kind of like just brush it off as if like everyone else agrees. Movie Bob had pointed out that they could have gone through this whole idea of it didn't matter if you actually had the insignia on you. It didn't matter if you had the emblem. And she can discover her arcana anyway, because by the way, she immediately got her arcana as soon as she killed Kano. Like just got it. She's
like parting gift from Kano. I get that you've been a badass most of the film.
But like, instead of having it be that she got it because she had to, even though it was through killing him, she had to get a guy's help to get there. Why not just she's able to end up discovering it anyway to show that these gods and these people behind everything don't actually know shit. And it just shows
I agree. I wanted that too.
Like, why 100%. Not just have her break through it? Yeah. She wanted to prove herself. Why is she trying to prove herself? Explain. Why do you think you're fucking inadequate? If it's because you're the only woman there, then fucking say it and lean into that in order to make it something instead of just kind of leave it out there. And then you're like, well, like
they'll get it. They'll understand.
They'll get it. They didn't I don't think they did a good job building her. I think that the actress was fine as Sonya Blade.
Yeah,
I'm excited to see what she does
She
next.
worked well with what she was given with.
Exactly.
But I think that what she was given should have been stronger.
I agree.
Honestly, though, I kind of agree with that with all the characters besides like Kano. Like, and I mean, Sub-Zero is pretty cool, and but
Jax was my guy.
Blood Knife is
and Scorpion, but like but still, I feel like I just feel like a lot of the characters within the film weren't given much like explanation behind them.
It felt like a setup film. That's why. Ultimately, this was a setup film.
I'm fine with that.
But man, what I will say though is I want a Liu Lang and Kong.
Liu Kang.
Yeah.
Liu Kang and Kung Lao.
I want a spin-off. I want
a
prequel to that. That's what I want.
Version right before this one, when he introduces himself, he's like, "I am Liu Kang, a descendant of the great Kung Lao." And then in this movie, they're like friends. I'm like, okay, well, one of these isn't the original story.
Well, yeah.
And then Kung Lao talks about how he's the descendant of some.
So they say they're
Kung Lao.
They say
they're cousins. They say that in the film. They're cousins.
Okay, well then I obviously missed that part because I was eating.
Well, no, literally when Kung Lao shows up, he comes up. He's like, "Hello, cousin." And that's the line. It's like, okay, they're cousins.
So I missed. Yeah, Gotcha. I was eating pho.
I
was
want
Of
a
course, you're
spin off
eating
though
pho
of
and
them.
watching Mortal Kombat.
Yeah, got my noodle. Oh, I actually have one more barbecue roll with peanut sauce. I should go eat that soon.
Well, here, bringing up Kung Lao, that actually Jesse's issues is one of my issues because Kung Lao is one of my favorite characters in Mortal Kombat. So like,
Yo,
and he's a major player.
He was awesome. Like he was so cool in this.
He was the most interesting character
He
outside
got the
of
fucking
Kano.
flawless victory with one of the
Flawless
coolest deaths.
victory. I was like, hell yeah!
Yeah, that was cool.
And then they killed him. Like, that was devastating because like the actor, like Kung Lao, just kept feeling. I mean, maybe it's the actor's face, but I was just like, you seem like you're like you don't belong here. But then he did his fights, and I'm like, okay, I guess you belong here. But he just looked confused outside of fighting. Like in any of the other scenes, he was just like this is my Halloween costume. What do you think?
I think just the actor they chose had this was giving off. I agree, he did look confused, but I think that was just him trying to look like I can't believe I have to work with. This is what I have to work with.
I think that's what it was, more in a sense. Like I have to deal with
By the way,
smucks right now.
Another one. I wish Goro wasn't killed in this either. I wish Goro seems like a tank that should have been like this huge guy that beat the shit out of them, but ultimately he was beaten but not killed so that he could be killed later on.
Well, that's what I was gonna say. Is he technically
explaining here? Yeah.
Technically, he's not like dead, right? Well, they say like at the end.
So it seems like none of them are dead. That's what it seems like it's been set up for. That none of them are dead technically, and death is just another form of life. I was just like,
the Netherworld because of Scorpion or whatever. By the way, okay, cool. So Sub-Zero and Scorpion, sick. How did they get their names? They just fucking decided. They just decided to call themselves that. How did they
I was
land
wondering
on
that
names?
because
I don't know.
Sub-Zero went by another name, and then he's just like, actually, I'm Sub-Zero.
He's like, I'm no longer Bihan. I am Sub-Zero. It's like,
yeah. Like,
okay.
Can we go into details on why? Like, I mean, it's cool.
It's like Hanzo. It's like, I am Scorpion. Great. Why did you choose Scorpion? Can explain to me that. Explain why you named yourself.
So here was my interpretation of the Scorpion one, at least, where I think that was just what was given to him in hell. That's and another like that was my interpretation of it. But Bihan being I am Sub-Zero. I'm like, you're cold. You know what? Okay, Sub-Zero.
I think you thought it through a bit too much when you said my interpretation was.
No, that's just what I thought. That's what it. Here we go. Yeah. Yep, Goro was killed by a jobber.
But like
that jobber is about to probably be the face of this franchise going forward, or at least in this next film. I think he gets killed in the next film, and that's where Johnny Cage takes over. Hopefully,
they're not going to do that. They're not going to have him die.
But a man can
especially they're not going to have him die. In any meaningful way, if they built up him being like
a family
the
guy,
fighter part of the family bloodline, they're not going to kill him unless there's like some specific sacrifice that'll end it all or something.
So do you think Johnny Cage won't be the main character then? It's just going to follow Cole the entire time?
Probably. Here's what I'll say. This film ultimately reminds me a lot of the 2017, or is it 2016? Power Rangers.
2017.
Yeah, I thought
2017.
It was 2017.
March 2017.
I knew it was March.
Dean Israel.
I knew Dean Israel.
I mean, I've seen a lot of people comparing that too. I thought that was more, but in that film, I felt like there was more.
A better film.
Yeah, I was gonna say that's a better film and more depth.
How it ended up being handled, the similar way to leave the Johnny Cage Easter egg there. It's like, oh, I got to go to Hollywood. It's very similar to the Tommy Easter egg in Power Rangers, where it's like Tommy, and you just see the green jacket there. Like,
yeah. No, I agree on that.
That's right. Yeah. I mean, I like that movie more than
I do.
That movie.
I agree.
That 2017 Power Rangers film is great.
I wanted more of that.
It is franchise. One of the few steelbooks that I own. I actually really love that
Dacre Montgomery was really good, and I really enjoyed
Naomi Scott was
Elizabeth
fantastic.
Yeah, she was really good too. I also really enjoyed what's his name? Elizabeth Banks, his name. What's her name? Elizabeth Banks, because she clearly knew what her villain was supposed to be, and then she leaned
turned it up
into
to
it.
11.
Yeah.
Yeah, she was just like, yes, this is exactly what I have to be. Anyways, so now that we're talking Power Rangers, let me.
I was just making that comparison.
I really,
No,
I
I've
really
heard
like
that a
Bill
lot, though, too,
Hader
Matt.
as well. All right, never mind. I'm done. I was gonna keep.
I've heard that a lot, though, that comparison between the two. Personally, I do think Power Rangers is a better film overall.
Well, why don't you complain? What about Ludi Lin? How did you like Ludi Lin here? As
I thought he was fine. There was times where he just felt completely wooden, but I'm like, maybe it's just because he's playing
that's
this.
exactly what I was trying to say. Ludi Lin, he's in both Power Rangers.
See,
and Mortal
I
Kombat.
enjoyed him. Like I said, I want a prequel with the cousins. Give me that movie. Like I want to see that. I would enjoy that. I like the dynamic between the two of them, and they at least already had their power, so they knew what they were doing in a sense.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. So yeah, I there's some really good stuff, and there's some stuff that's not as good.
Yeah.
And
well, I mean,
overall,
let's also mention though, this was a first time filmmaker.
Yeah, this is
his first. Yeah.
So all right, yes and no. Simon McQuaid has done other things. This is his first time directing
a feature
film, but he's done a lot of action commercials, and he's done some other things before. I was just reading this like a day ago that explained don't let an IMDb list fool you. It doesn't have all of his credits and the work that he's actually done behind the scenes and other stuff. So he's more experienced than you might be led to believe based on just the credits that he has online. But yeah, he is definitely there. You could tell one of the things that I do have an issue with actually, and I like a lot of the action in the movie. When it comes to martial arts films and action and stuff, I do think that the film, I do pay attention to how it's filmed. And there were some edits that I think didn't need to be there. You could have had more wide shots, more like full moves. Like I kept hearing this stuff about Joe Taslim. The first time anyone said anything about a martial artist on film since Bruce Lee, of saying they had to tell him to slow down his fighting because he was so fast the cameras couldn't pick it up.
That was some issues I had with the film too, was the editing with the fight scenes. And honestly, I mean, I don't know, I could be wrong saying this, but I felt like that kind of came down to like budgeting in a sense.
No, the movie had nearly $100 million.
Yeah.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
I don't know. I just felt like the editing within the fight scenes, like you said, though, I wish there was more wide shots on. And I was telling Matt this, and he thought I was crazy for saying this. I would have enjoyed not like some Zack Snyder slow-mo, like every 5 minutes of slow-mo, but I kind of would have enjoyed some like slow-mo fighting in a sense. Like some scenes within there.
There were like 2 or 3 moments of slow-mo, and I think that those were the only ones that the movie really needed. Like when Goro jumped up and it's his whole fucking body coming down, all his arms out. That worked for a shot in slow-mo.
Jax with his slow-mo of destroying the freaking head.
Oh yeah,
like that worked.
Things like that.
So
that's it, though.
I felt like you talked about Kung Lao's fatality. Part of me wanted to see more fatalities, and if there was slow-mo, I felt like it should have been reserved strictly for fatalities. That was my thing.
Yeah, like KOs and yeah.
I did not need to see that woman that woman bat thing get sliced in half with Kung Lao's thing in slow motion. I think thought that was perfect the way it was framed. I think it was perfect.
Yeah, no, that didn't have to be slow mo.
Jesse, it wasn't 50 million. It's actually it's been re-updated. It's actually not. It's closer to 95 million. Now that more box office information has come out.
What did you guys think of the CGI within the film? I thought it was all right. I thought it could have been better though. That's what I'm saying. If it's $95 million, I feel like that it could have. I don't know.
There were some things that could have been better. I think Outworld, where they had
it just looked like they were in
Shang Tsung just kind of sat there to like gather people to say go do stuff.
Yeah, it looked like
felt very green screeny.
Yeah.
There were some things that could have been done better. Woman bat Natar, sure. Yep. I mean, hey, I guess in some
I
ways,
agree.
I'm
To me, it looks like it's
excited
like
to watch it
Hey,
in the
$30
theater.
million budget. Personally,
let's be fair. Considering
No.
this movie, if in a non-pandemic world, this movie probably would have made over 100 million opening weekend.
I don't know about 100.
depends on the
I think
marketing, I guess.
it would have made a pretty penny. You have to remember that there's a lot of there is some good there's some good hype behind the idea of more Mortal Kombat, but I think that word of mouth and
Fair.
stuff might make it not so
So,
much.
so part of my reasoning for this is because what its original release date was, and that was January. And January is the dead month.
I don't think it would have made 100 million though. Not many movies have had like $100 million in January. Actually, let me see here.
I thought the hype behind it would have been what put it there.
I mean, don't get me wrong. I mean, I kind of am like crapping on the movie towards that end.
American Sniper had the biggest opening weekend ever for January at $89 million, but that also includes, I believe, I believe it's Martin Luther King weekend, so that includes the Monday in that. I think. Let me see.
But I mean, I still think this movie is like a good time, and I think people still should go check it out to get their opinion on it. And I think like the average moviegoer will enjoy the movie.
Paige, I think your opinion will change when you see the original.
Oh, I completely. I mean, I gave it a C. I think out of 10, I think a 7.5 is pretty good for this movie.
That's without. I'm wrong. That's without Martin Luther King. Martin Luther King had just a few bucks shy of $18 million. That 89 was just then. So I mean, yay the Beltway of that weekend. But the second biggest weekend was last year when it got. I think.
That's precisely why.
Which is odd that it was hidden until last night because it opened a week or so ago overseas, and there were reviews out and about that were bouncing around for the last week, but it was like
Jacob London over.
None of them were like officially attributed.
Mm-hmm.
So, it's odd. It's odd that it was out for the public consumption, and yet there was an embargo.
What's its Rotten Tomato score right now? See, it's not like it's
getting. It was at like a 55 when I saw it. Like yesterday.
Yeah, that's what I saw.
It's at a 56. It's at a 56 right now with an 89% audience score.
Okay, so when I was looking at it yesterday, there was no audience score. So okay, I mean it's definitely gonna fluctuate. Yeah, it's definitely gonna fluctuate, but
but like, I'm happy with it. I mean, what's the original Mortal Kombat at?
I mean, top critics though. Top critics have it at a 37.
Yeah, so 43% for the original Mortal Kombat.
That's because no one can give Paul W.S. Anderson a fresh average. He doesn't deserve
and
a fresh
57% for the audience score.
Which I don't think that's accurate. I think more people are much more nostalgic.
And then 2% for Annihilation.
Wow.
I can't wait to watch Annihilation.
I can't wait to watch both of the originals.
No, so the original Annihilation.
I'm definitely going to skip Annihilation.
So the original is on Peacock right now.
Yep. Yeah, that's what I told you.
That's where I watched it. And then Annihilation is on HBO Max. HBO Max, we will be doing a drink along for Annihilation.
Bro, I'm going to need to be dead to watch Annihilation again, which means I'm never watching it again.
Matt, I'm going to tell you right now, it's fine. You're not invited. So
I know.
Don't worry about it.
I know. I'm just like Jesse Swift says 6 out of 10. I disagree. I'm giving it a strong 7.5 out of 10.
Which one are we talking about here?
This film.
I give it like a 6.5. I think maybe 6. I'm close to 6. I'd say 6.5. But it's funny. William Bibbiani, he tweeted out how this movie is basically like mediocre. He also hated Kano. In it, but one thing that I thought was funny was how he said the first one, this movie was
mediocre but fun. That's what he said about the first one.
He said the first one, this movie is mediocre. 95 one is mediocre, but it's enjoyably mediocre because it knows what it's trying to be. Annihilation is technically a film.
I mean, I thought this movie was fun. I think people will go into it and enjoy what they get. But I mean, as people like us that like critique movies and love film, I personally wanted more out of this. I wanted more storytelling. I mean, more like world building in a sense, and same with the characters. And I wish that the writing and the acting was a wee bit better. But
yeah, agreed.
I mean,
think that overall, it's fun.
Matt said this to me last night, and it's kind of perfect. It would not have been a Mortal Kombat movie if it didn't have the best acting or writing in it. So,
but you know what it did have? It had a sick score.
Yes, it did.
I think that the music and it's not just the the game score. Benjamin Wallfish, he did a really I really dug the stuff that he had done with like different character themes playing through it. How he was able to weave the theme in without just trying to make it overtly Mortal Kombat theme every time. I also like the house music, like the trap remix that he basically did for the main theme. Is fucking sick. It's awesome.
That's what the intro was.
I've listened to it. I know, and I hope that you don't get knocked on it for whatever.
Don't bug me.
But yeah, you monetize this. They're gonna steal all of your cents.
We're not monetizable yet. We're fine.
Yeah, no, that happened to us from when we did our Fast and Furious show last week. Yeah, he is. Oh, wow. When we did Fast and Furious last week, and we played the intro that Matt made that had "See You Again" from Furious 7.
Yeah, they hit.
And then we got demonetized, and we're like, "Joke's on you. We're not even monetized as a channel." And they said, "And you're also blocked in North Korea, Iran, and Syria." And I'm like, "Damn it, that's where most of our viewers are."
I was like,
"That's hilarious."
YouTube's great.
It's like, oh, you're blocking me in places I know I don't get viewers. That's fine.
Yep.
Yeah.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I didn't realize things could get blocked in North Korea. Actually, no, I'm more surprised because they said blocked in North Korea, and I'm like, North Korea, they have internet?
I was gonna say everything is blocked if anything, but
yeah.
I know.
I'm sorry, Kim Jong-un, you can't check out our weekly breakdowns of the Schmodown.
or the Fast and Furious saga, which by the way, it'll be in theaters every Friday starting next week. Every Friday you can see one of the films.
I've already watched them, so I don't need to go back and see them.
No, you need to go to the theater and see them.
I don't need to go to the theater and see them.
It's free.
That doesn't mean that I have the time or the interest. I just watched all of them, except for Hobbs Shaw. I got to watch that in the next few days.
Let me have my fun with you, quiz show. Calm down.
You know what? I'm not going to give you the opportunity to have fun.
Bottom line, no, Jesse, you don't get to say you love the film.
Wow. Can Jesse pop in so he can explain that to us?
He's working. He said he's working. Jesse, you can always just pop in from like your phone real quick and say some shit and then pop out. Do what Ferris does on the Family Show.
Do what I did yesterday.
Working and then he popped. Yeah, do what you did yesterday, which was
I was riding in the car.
You were in the car and you just popped in on StreamYard.
I will say so for what I gave it. I gave it a 7. I gave it a C. That's how I rate my movies. I rate them in like a paper, I guess. I rate them from A+ to F. That's how I rate them. So I gave it a C. So like a 7.5 out of 10, pretty much. I think I was kind of being generous, but I think it's because it was establishing what it's going to be.
A 7.5 out of 10 to me is a B.
Yeah.
When it comes to
film. I agree.
Okay. See, I don't. I give it a C.
That's the whole thing when it comes to like the numbers. For reviews aren't the same as grades on a school paper.
Then how should I say it?
Like, why are you like pushing your chest?
I'm so happy. I'm so happy.
Why? What's happening?
Because I just saw the report about Captain America 4 and the works with
with Malcolm Spellman. Yeah, I'm
just like, yes. Sorry, I was asleep.
Guys, I haven't seen the new episode yet.
We'll talk more about Matt. We'll talk more about it in 2.5 hours.
Yeah, we'll talk.
10 minutes.
Maybe you should have Paige on in 2.5 hours if she gets the episode done.
Paige, if you get done in the next, if you watch it in the next 2 hours, you're more than welcome to be on our show.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, I'll shoot you the link.
Oh yeah, that's tomorrow.
Ooh.
PJ, Amaru, and Jesse are going on the Flick and Reel channel to talk about Mortal Kombat. I wanted to have Jesse today, but yeah, I knew it was at work. I threw him a link just in case. I love all three of these guys. Amaru is great. PJ and I have gotten along swimmingly very quickly the last couple months, and Jesse is right up there with Paige for me as some of my favorite people in this space. So
yeah,
and that is at 10:30 PST tomorrow.
Yeah, so that's cool. Yeah, there's a lot of stuff happening tomorrow, man. Yeah. There's a lot of stuff happening.
Dude,
guys, the free for alls tomorrow.
What time is your after show done for free for all?
Done, or what time does it start?
I know it starts around. You're saying 6:15. Ours doesn't start till 8:30.
6:15 Pacific, which would mean 9:15 Eastern, because we have some people coming on and knowing their availability.
Yeah,
we did that, but also to give cushion to some other shows that are running their stuff, so that way we can there's not as much crossover.
If you don't come on spin from the reel tomorrow for at least like 15 minutes, I'm coming for you, Jeff.
Fuck, I'll fucking pop on. What do you want from me? Like, sure, you shoot me a link.
I will.
It's my grandmother's 92nd birthday. Fuck you want from me?
I love you, Jeff. Love you too, Jesse. But yeah, guys, if you've watched, Jesse's okay. Guys, if you've watched or if you're watching right now, thank you for joining us, and be sure to check out more reviews going forward. Maybe for the big films, we'll do discussions like this live, and I'll post a non-spoiler review this week. With schoolwork and work and sleep, I didn't get a chance to record my non-spoiler review. So
and sleep, yeah. So you could function like a real boy.
Yes, like a real person, not staying up till 4 a.m. just cause.
It was a Friday night.
I'm not talking about you. I'm talking about myself because I've done that.
No. Okay. Well, you do you.
But thank you for joining, and this was another Who Are They Real Review.